April has been one of those months that feels like it's been a year long and also 2 days long at the same time, whereas I feel January to March just went very quick and didn't feel long at all. Because when I looked back at like all the media I consumed this month, I was like, wait, that feels like ages ago that I watched that or read that or something. So saying that, let's get into what I watched, listened to and read. We'll start with music. I have been listening to a lot of Alice Bowman. I first started listening to Alice Bowman in, I really want to say 2018. Around 2018, yes, it was 2018. End of 2018, I think. And then she didn't release stuff for a little while. And then I just hadn't checked in with her stuff since then. And so I did like a whole, I do this quite often with like artists who like don't release stuff for a couple years, because I genuinely just forget about them almost, even if I really love them. And I did like a whole discography listen through, and I found some songs I really loved. I'll list them here real quick. My favourites have always, by Alice Bowman, have always been Be Mine. That's a #1. I think it's one of her most famous songs, used in so many movies. It's just the most, it's so beautiful. But the ones that I added the other day, well the other week, this is what I mean, were This Is Where It Ends, Night and Day, Heart on Fire, her duo with Jelly Crystal, Happy Ending, and then also there was this other one, and I don't know what language this is in, so I don't want to butcher it, but it's called Panaterna Dromagajag. As you can tell, my Greek just comes through. It's really very far from Greek. It's like Norwegian or something, I think. And it's just, all of them are so beautiful. The thing about Alice Bowman is a lot of her music does sound very similar, but still, because it's so beautiful, you can kind of, she can get away with it. Then my sister is obsessed with Adrian Lenker. I love Big Thief. I haven't listened, like over a year ago, I think it was before Adrian released her newest album, I had listened to her and I liked a couple songs, but that was about it, and her discography is quite small. But then her new album came out last year and I only just got around to listening to it, and there are so many songs on there that I love, but my favourite is No Machine. I think it's so beautiful. I think Adrian Lenker is just an incredible songwriter. She's such a poet. So yeah, I'm obsessed with that song, but also the album. And finally, with music, there was this song that I found on Instagram, like it was on my reels, and for like literally 2 months, I don't follow this girl, this musician, because I didn't know any of her music or anything, and it was this song called Lucy and I saved it and I was like, I'm gonna come back and check when she's like released it, and I did that for about 2-3 months, maybe 4 and she finally released it, and like every like few weeks when I would go to check, it was like Lucy isn't out yet, Lucy isn't out yet, and then her bio changed to Lucy is out now, and I was like, finally. So yeah, it's like definitely more poppy than I usually listen to. I say this, but like I think the most pop thing I do listen to is like Gracie Abrams, and that's like hesitantly, but there's just something about it of like the actual music itself, not even like the lyrics or her voice, but the music itself. There's something really catchy about it that I love. We'll move on to shows because there's only one, and I actually watched it today. I watched the Bad Influence, kid influencing documentary with my mum, and I work for, one of my clients is a company that keeps children safe online. And we spoke about it at work last week, and they were like, you should so watch it. Like, they were like, we know you know this stuff happens, but like we've all watched it, you should watch it. Like, it's a really good documentary. We know you like watching documentaries like this, blah blah blah. So I watched it today. And yeah. It's, as someone who is so desensitized, I'm not like shocked by any of it, but I would say if you haven't watched it, if you're not desensitized, if you don't obsessively watch true crime, or you know, aren't used to those kind of stories, then go into it lightly. But for me, it was just like, yep, and then all you hear next to me is my mum going, oh my god, oh my god, and I'm just like, yeah, you know what I mean? I was so desensitized to it, but it was a really good documentary. Very sad. The ending like nearly made me cry, and I won't spoil it, but I think it's also just worth watching in the world that we live in at the moment. And I know I'm biased because I work for a company that is literally like aiming to prevent what's in that documentary, but I just think like everyone needs to watch it. It's so important, especially if you want to become a parent in this day and age, which I definitely do. So yeah, it was a good watch, really well done, very sad, but definitely worth the watch, a very important subject. And I'll move on to movies. This was actually a pretty good month for movies. I was watching, I don't want to ever give my Letterboxd out, but it's already out there. I started my month watching like loads of kids movies, like the new Transylvania and stuff like that, because, and like Secret Life of Pets and stuff. These are not my favorite films of the month, by the way, but it started out because Jenny Slate, I literally have a tattoo of a Jenny Slate character. I love her so much. Jenny Slate voices one of the characters in Secret Life of Pets, and I was like, I want to watch Jenny Slate's entire discography. So filmography, sorry. And I just got into like the mood of like kids films, and like Hotel Transylvania I love, and like I just love kids films. I love feeling like a kid again. And then it just like spiraled and it got really bad, and I just didn't even like enter half of them in my Letterboxd log. So that's how that the month started. And then I started to watch other films about mid-month which still weren't that good, but one that I watched near the beginning of the month, which was actually pretty good, was Renfield. I love a good comedy, I love a dark comedy, I love a fantasy comedy, I love anything that's like comedy paired with another opposing genre. And I think obviously I love Nicolas Cage, but I also, what's the one, the main guy, I can't remember his fucking name now, Nicholas Hoult or something like that. I think he's such a good actor, and yeah, it was funny, gory as fuck. The only thing I'd change about that film was Awkwafina, to be honest. But yeah, I love the plotline was so funny. And then the last 2 days, literally, I was binging Jessie Stone movies again. If you're new here, I'm literally watching Law and Order right now. Like, this is Law and Order, NCIS, Bones, literally like all those things you can think of are my thing. Murder, She Wrote, Columbo, that's my shit. If I'm not watching it, something's wrong. So Jessie Stone, like I've always caught glimpses of it every now and then, but never watched like the full movies. And I watched 2 of the movies. I think I started another one, I haven't finished it yet. I love them. I think it's the best fucking thing that, again, I'm forgetting his name, but that actor has worked on, because he also is in Blue Bloods, which I've watched a few of because it's on 5 USA, which is where I watch all my NCIS and Law and Order and stuff. So I keep it on but I don't actively go out of my way to watch Blue Bloods. And of course he was also Magnum PI, so like he's heavy set in the genre that I love, of like crime, mystery, cozy mystery, not so cozy mystery, and extreme crime. But he's like so like into like weaved throughout the entire genre, and like he's constantly on 5 USA. So I was like, I've watched Blue Bloods, I'm not the biggest fan of Magnum PI, but he's so weaved into this, I'm just gonna watch Jesse Stone. And I watched it and I loved it. I think it's the best thing he's worked on, seriously. It's so weird to me because I think he's such like he's not considered an A-list celebrity, I would say more B-list, but like Blue Bloods is so like Z-list almost, it's insane. So I'm like, I watched Jesse Stone, I'm like, yeah, like this is what he should have continued doing, it's so good. But yeah, I love it, and I will be watching more, so expect me to say this next month. And finally, I actually watched this today, was The Parenting. I love, and I feel like this is partially because of my PTSD, but I love movies that are very light, which is ironic because all I consume is like TV that's not light at all, like Law and Order, SVU, things like that. But I love movies that are light. I think it's just because they're longer, and so I feel like I have to sit down, whereas like my TV is like background noise most of the time, you know, it's on while I work, on while I eat, whereas if I'm sitting down and watching a movie, like it's a different vibe. But I saw The Parenting advertised like a couple months ago max, and it has Nico Danny, who I love, and Brandon Flynn, who I love, and then of course it has like a much more studded cast, but I didn't see that until watching it, which was like Parker Posey, Lisa Kudrow, the guy from Breaking Bad and the guy from Succession. But it was just so perfectly done, I think. Like, it was just like, it's not meant to be a fucking masterpiece, but it's so funny and it's so me. Like, it was comedy, it was gay, it was fantasy, like witchy occult. It was so perfect, and it like wasn't too Halloween-y, which I love. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, we should watch this at Halloween only. But I loved it. I think it was so well written. It's amazing cast. Like, I think that genuinely like is why it was so good. It is, the cast is insane, but you need a good script. You need a good script, and it did have a good script. So me. It started off with the 80s. Oh, it was just so perfect for me. It's like such a Mia film, I feel. So yeah, I loved it, and I highly recommend The Parenting. Finally, books. I wanted to actually see this, and I'll do it with you guys here. I started off April feeling like I didn't read a shit ton of books, like I was going at a slower pace, and then in the past literal week, 7 days, I think I've read 15 books. I've read 5 books in the last 2 days. Again, wish I was joking, but also like when I'm filming this, it has been the Easter holidays, so it's basically been 4 days off of work, so I've had the time. Okay, don't come at me. Okay. So I'm gonna count how many books I read, and the part of the reason why I wanted to do this was because I went back today. I went back today and I realized that I only loved 3 of the books, and I was like, I read a lot this month, and that's not a lot of love for what I've read. There's one book, actually there's 4 books I loved, but there's one that I won't talk about yet because there's a reason, and I'll explain it in another video at a later date, maybe. It's very personal. I'll just say that. It's on my fucking Goodreads, you can go and look. But I won't get into it now. But the other 3, so there's 4 I liked. Yeah, I guess 1 for every week. I think that's valid, no? Anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I lied, there's 5, 2 are very personal. I'm just gonna mention the other 3. I've lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so I lied, it was 16 this whole month, but the last week has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. Maybe not even the last week, maybe the past like 4 days, because of the holidays. So anyways, the ones that I loved were, we'll start with After Dark. That was the first one I read, by Haruki Murakami. This is my first Haruki Murakami, and I think it's a really good book to start with. I loved I think there was just a genuine atmosphere in the book, and I've said this before, but I haven't said it for a while. I find it hard to get books, read books, have an atmosphere in books that a movie can very easily create. I have a degree in film, and I feel like that's what I'm constantly chasing when I read books that are contemporary lit mostly, because I don't really expect that from cheesy romances or like fucking non-fic or like whatever, unless it's Patti Smith, in which case erase what I just said. They're movies, her books are movies. So yeah, from contemporary lit, I chase this feeling of like atmospheric, and each one can be a different atmosphere, it just has like a feel to it. And I feel like After Dark did that really well. I've read it in like 2 days, and I know that doesn't sound very quick compared to how much I've read in the past 5 days, but that was quite good for me. And it was just, yeah, I don't know, it just, the way I'll put it is if all his books are like this, I'm gonna be a very big Murakami stan, which is hard to say because all I've ever heard is that he doesn't write women very well, and I felt like the women in this book were written quite well. I wouldn't say it went deep into their characters, that wasn't really the point of the book, but it wasn't written badly. They weren't written in a way that was disgusting or like, oh, like a man has written this, you know. It wasn't like that. It was just very balanced, I think. So yeah, I really liked that. I think I gave it a 5. Should we see? 4, I gave it a 4, but actually thinking about it, I might give it a 5. It was really good, but I'm scared to give him a 5 because of what I've heard. So I'll have to read more Murakami. I do have more Murakami on my TBR, my physical TBR as well, so because this was an ebook, so I will have to get to that, and I'll have to make a decision on what I think of him as an author. Then yeah, I'm not going to speak about those. I was thinking, do I share that? No, not yet. You can go on my Goodreads, but I'll speak about them in a different time. But then I said 3, right? Yeah, the last 2 that I loved were read in the past 5 days. So one was Proud Flesh by Catherine Simone Gray. I have to say, do not read this if you are easily triggered, easily grossed out, because I'm, like I just said, I'm someone who is so desensitized to everything, and I physically had to put this down at points. It's a non-fiction, it's a memoir. It's about, briefly I would say, about motherhood. That's not the center of the memoir. It's mostly, and this is in the title, so no spoilers here, but about intimate violence, and then also reclaiming pleasure. Let's just say, as someone who has been through emotional partner abuse, woof. It was hard. It was hard. It was a really, really hard read because her story, and this is a TW, but her story heavily, like it says, is on intimate violence, so physical violence. R-word essay. That's not what mine was by any means yet. So I think that's why initially I picked up and I was like, I'm gonna be fine reading this. The entire book I was like, fuck, like this, I resonate with this so deeply, just the emotions, the feelings, but also there is a lot of stuff in it that's very like TMI, from a sexual standpoint. And do I mention, yeah, okay, there's this account that I've, for some reason, was on my fucking feed. Don't ask why, I have no clue, because I don't interact with this kind of content. And it was basically a couple that basically their entire account and content is about trying different kinks, and then like they film the before and after. I find shit like that so gross. I find it so disgusting because I just feel like we need to keep some things to ourselves. Okay, I'm not a prude by any means. I love a liberated sexual couple, a liberated sexual woman. I don't care about men. And so it's not the topic. It's the physical like aspect of like, you might as well just show us you doing it. And I just feel like also this could go into such a deep tangent, couldn't it? It really could, because it's like you're showing up on my feed, I don't follow you, I'm not, for lack of a better word, consenting to seeing this content. Children are on this app, and it's not your fault that children are on the app, but it is your fault for creating that content. So I just have this thing of like, we need boundaries. Somewhere we got lost along the way of liberation. And we need solid, healthy boundaries. And I do feel like this book overstepped with that. Like there's a lot of stuff in depth, and I was just like, she's writing about like sex with her husband, and her husband is publicly on social media. Obviously he said yes to that being in the book, but it was just like, do you know what I mean? It was just, I don't want to read about anything. I don't want to read about it. I don't want to know. And I don't know, I think that is quite a rare thing these days. Like, I don't like people not wanting to know. I don't want to know. Like, I can talk about my best friend, like with my best friend about sex. The moment she brings up her boyfriend, who she's been with, we all became friends at the exact same time. We all met at the same time. They've been together for over 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, I think, this year. The moment he's brought up, I'm gonna be sick. So I have it with everyone. I can't stand it. I think we need stronger boundaries. So for me, I felt grossed out in reading those bits. And like not at all grossed out when she was talking about self-pleasure, because I think that's a very different subject and like her information to share. Whereas I think when you're a couple, yeah, I don't know. I think I get people disagreeing with that though. I do. I think this is also something like an opinion that I've only formed in like since my PTSD. So let's not dig that hole. Finally though. So yeah, I recommend, that was definitely a 5-star, but it was just very hard to read. If you have been through abuse or have PTSD of any kind, even because like her book is very body focused, and my abuse was nothing to do with my body, but it still felt very like you have to put it down and breathe at points. So just go into it cautiously. But yeah, it was so good. It was written very well as well. Finally, ending on a lighter note, I got sent, I can't even believe I'm saying this, how old was I? Was I 16? I'm gonna be sick thinking about that. I think I was 16. If 16-year-old me watched Call Me By Your Name, and then someone told me after, like, met Timothée Chalamet 4 times. Yeah, if you're new here, that's my law drop. tattooed him on her back, like his handwriting that he wrote for me. Yes, another piece of lore drop for you. And then someone just randomly turned around and was like, oh, by the way, 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙗's publisher is gonna send you his books for free. Stab me, stab me. Just stab me. I was sent an ebook of his new book called Room on the Sea. Room on the Sea? Yeah, Room on the Sea. Just stab me. It started off slow, I will say that. Like, it's a very short book. So what I mean by that is, like, you don't instantly kind of fall in love with the characters. And I did find that it was the same with his other book that I read before, the yellow one. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, the one that he published before this one, this new one, the Gentleman in Peru. Like, it starts off and you're kind of thrown in and you don't know how to kind of feel about these characters, and there's not a level of intimacy, and then very suddenly that changes, and you suddenly know everything about these people and you know them on an intimate level. It's not like a progression. I don't know how he does that, but I think it's incredible, and I loved this. I love this also because it takes place in like a partial, it begins in a courtroom, and so they talk about like the law and stuff, and literally watching Law and Order, so I was like, oh my god, this is like 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙗 law, like I love this, like this is everything. And it's a really sweet contemporary romance between two people in their 60s, and I just love the way 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙗 writes romances that are so like taboo almost, and romances we don't really speak about. You know, we always speak about the 18-year-old to the 35-year-old and their cliche love stories with fake tropes that just don't exist in real life, like fake dating, and we eat them up because they're good and I love them and they're like such a lovely break from reality. But I think like what we fail to realize about 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙗 is, like, with Call Me By Your Name, people were like, ew, like Elio's 17. One, context, back then that was legal. That doesn't mean it's right, but that's some context for you. And two, when you read the rest of his bibliography, you realize that he does those things on purpose. Call Me By Your Name is not romanticizing that in any way. It's such a beautiful film, but it doesn't romanticize that age difference by any means. If anything, it literally shows you why that age difference shouldn't exist, because it ends in heartbreak. And it's also an accurate, we can't lie here, it's a very accurate representation of being queer when you're young, finding out that you're queer, figuring it out, coming to terms with it, meeting, you know, older people who are queer. That's a real experience people have lived, and he didn't romanticize it. People think because it's a pretty film that is romanticized. That's not how it works. But anyways, the rest of his bibliography. So The Gentleman in Peru was about oh, I don't want to spoil it. How do I... That book I will leave out, but it also has a questionable... Well, it's not questionable. It's a fantastical kind of relationship. Like, it's a relationship that physically does not exist in this realm. You'll understand when you read it. But he did that to portray... one, love, but also two, these confusing relationships between people of different ages. These were two consenting adults, by the way. This did not involve a minor, but it was just like an older, much older guy with a kind of younger girl. But there's a reason for it. That sounds so gross. I promise. It's almost like a fantasy. In terms of genre, like there's fantastical elements in that book. And then in this one, like just depicting like two 60-year-olds already married, and just like their journey together as friends at first. I just think it was so... I love how he highlights different relationships and explains them and highlights them, even if they're morally. Anyway, my camera died, so I will be finishing this on here. But yeah, I love that he depicts morally confusing relationships. Not wrong, but confusing. You will understand when you read the bibliography of him. Non-stereotypical, very taboo subjects in such a beautiful way. Yeah, that's what I love about it the most. So it was really good. Still a 4-star, but nothing's ever gonna beat 𝙂𝙧𝙧𝙀 by a name. So, and he knows that. I think he's just writing for fun, like shits and gigs now. So, and he should. He got his bag. But anyways, that's it for my faves of April. I had a good media month. If you can't tell, I've yapped your ear off. I will see you in my next video, but stick around for next month's wrap up, because I really hope that the good media kind of stays strong and I don't have a bland media month. But yeah, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.